Welcome to Chris's Storytelling Corner. This is Christopher Moldong. Today I'm going to do a manga review for Your Lie in April volumes 1 to 3. Be sure to also check out my list for best katana users in anime and manga. Next time I'll have a manga review for Your Lie in April volumes 4 and 5 and a review or a reading of my short story The Underachievers pages 1 and 2, and in a few weeks a movie review for Spider-Man Homecoming. You can check out my author's website at www.chrismoldon.com. You can buy my first novel, a fantasy adventure called The Mustard Prince in the Condiment Kingdom, for $4.99. Also, for $2.99, you can buy my short story collection, a collection of 10 short stories in the horror, fantasy, and realistic fiction genres. Check out my Twitter page and author's Facebook page. Links to all these will be provided on the description. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and comment to this channel on YouTube and SoundCloud. If you're listening to this on iTunes or Stitcher, please rate, review, and share this channel. So, the way that this works is that I will give a recap of Volume 1, then give my thoughts on Volume 1, and do the same for Volumes 2 and Volume 3. So, let's get right to it. Volume 1 of Your Lie in April. The volume begins with an 11-year-old boy named Kosei Arima stopping in the middle of a performance in a piano competition. Since then, Kosei has not been able to play piano. At Sumitani Middle School, a girl named Tsubaki hits a baseball to the window of the music room. Arima, who's older now, got hit by the baseball and is bleeding and on the ground, but gets up. Tsubaki enters the music room and they seem to be acquainted. Kosei tries to clean the glass, but Tsubaki stops him so he doesn't damage his fingers. Kosei doesn't seem to care. A boy soccer player, Watari, who seems to be their friend, comes in through the window and takes a picture of them. Then the three walk home together, so they are all friends. Tsubaki asks Kosei if there are any girls that he likes. Kosei says that no one would ever fall in love with him. In a monologue, Kosei says that through Tsubaki's eyes, the world is full of brilliant colors, but through his, it's not. After school, Kosei works on music at the school. Tsubaki comes into the classroom and asks if he's free tomorrow. She tells him that there's a girl in her class and she wants Tsubaki, and the girl wants Tsubaki to introduce her to Watari. The girl also plays the violin. Kosei reveals that he quit the piano and hasn't played in 2 years. Kosei goes home and it's revealed that his mother passed away. His mother's dream was to raise Kosei as a world-famous pianist. She yelled at him and beat the lessons into him. He says, as a kid, and in a flashback, he says that he'll try to do his best if it makes her happy and gets her better. 3 years ago, when he almost made it to a European piano competition, his mother died. Present day, Kosei says that he hates the piano. He goes to the meeting place at a park and sees a shoe and girl's leggings stuck on a tree branch. Kosei then hears a melodica. He sees a girl playing it in front of 3 kids and she starts crying. She then plays instruments with the kids and Kosei takes a picture and the girl gets angry at him. Tsubaki and Watari show up. Tsubaki introduces the girl as Kaori, or is it Kaori? I'll say Kaori Miyazono. Tsubaki introduces Kosei as Friend A. Tsubaki tells Kosei that Kaori likes Watari. Kaori tells him that she's going to Toa Hall to perform as a violinist. Kaori grabs Kosei's arm and says, "Let's go." Tsubaki, Watari, and Kosei take their seats at the competition. Some of the audience members recognize Kosei. The head judge is Kazama Sensei, who is very traditional. They hear different performances, and then Kaori makes her performance. She plays her piece her own way and ignores her accompanist. The audience gives her a standing ovation, and then Kosei explains that Kaori won't win or even place. Kosei questions how she can perform like that, like she's having fun. Some kids give Kaori some flowers. She then runs to Watari, but asks Kosei what he thinks and how he liked it, her performance. Kaori runs back to Watari, and Kosei says that he's just friend A. Kaori makes the list as an audience favorite and gets to go on to the next round. Back in the school music room, Kosei dreams about Kaori's performance. He walks home and sees her standing around. She says that she wanted to surprise Watari, but Kosei tells her that he's still at practice. Then Kaori appoints Kosei to take Watari's place. They eat at a cafe, and in the cafe, some kids are playing the piano. Kaori gets Kosei to teach them how to play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, but he stops in the middle. Outside of the cafe, Kosei plays with a black cat and tells Kaori that he used to have a black cat, and she asks if he plays the piano anymore. She admits that she knows who he is and that he was what they all aspired to be, guessing musicians. Excuse me. Uh, Kosei tells her that he can't hear the piano anymore, and then she appoints Kosei as her accompanist. The next day, Kosei runs away from Kaori as she asks him to be her accompanist. Sheet music is pretty much postered everywhere Kosei goes, and Tsubaki and Kaori keep asking him to be an accompanist. Kaori asks Tsubaki if she likes Kosei. Tsubaki tells her that he's like a hopeless little brother. Tsubaki reveals that Kosei's been stuck ever since that day, since he stopped in the middle of the performance, and that time really can stop. She thinks playing the piano will change something for Kosei. The Toa music competition then starts. Kaori finds Kosei on the roof of the school. He admits to being scared of playing the piano. Kaori says that she'll be there. She then asks him to be her accompanist, and she tells him that she feels like she's going to fall apart. Kosei agrees. At the end of the volume, Watari and Tsubaki help them get to the competition by riding their bikes there. So some thoughts. Well, one thing that immediately stands out is just how emotionally impactful this whole story is. Excuse me. There's obviously some deeper stuff going on with Kosei and why he can't play the piano and whatnot. I mean, he can't hear the words. He can't hear the music. Excuse me. And then he stopped in the middle of a performance as he was a kid. His mom seems to be really hard on him. So I mean, there's a lot of emotional scarring going on with Kosei. He's got friends as support. He's got an apparent love interest in Kaori. It's clear he likes her, and but she doesn't like him back. So likes his friend. So yeah, he looks like a guy that is Kosei. Looks like he's struggling. Um, he's someone that hopefully we'll see grow. A new, interesting, and different type of person entered his life and seems to be the catalyst for change. Kaori's real interesting. She's a little more seemingly extroverted. Um, she plays the violin with great vigor. Definitely isn't so traditional in the way that she just acts, and obviously the way she plays the violin and does performances in competitions. She seems to be one that seemingly goes against the grain. Kosei looks like a guy, the type of guy that goes with the grain. Kaori goes against the grain. So they're different in that respect. Um, Otherwise, It seems like there's a little more with Kaori as well. Don't know exactly what it is. You know, she says that she feels like she's going to fall apart to Kosei and starts crying at random times. So, we'll see. Moving forward, um, what what's up with her really? She seems like a very talented violinist. Kosei is obviously a very talented pianist, so that should make for an interesting dynamic as well. Musically, uh, different instruments, both musicians, but uh, it. I don't really know actually how like Kosei plays yet. I don't really explain it, but I get the just seeing his personality, he seems kind of more of a traditional type guy. We got introduced to like Tsubaki, uh, the friend from, you know, since they were kids. Um, if you watch enough anime or manga, that can either mean that she can be a potential love interest moving forward. I mean, it's just the way manga and anime works. Old friends become, turns into something more, or they can just stay friends. Very much seems athletic. She plays the baseball a little more, kind of like the strongest, one of the stronger people of the group. Pretty outgoing. Seems a little more like says what she feels, type. So uh, we'll kind of see how that works. She seems to be compliments Kosei because Kosei, the way he comes across, seems a little more reserved, whereas like Tsubaki and Watari are both a little more outgoing. So they kind of play, um, they play an interesting dynamic. Watari is like this playboy type. You know, he thinks like he likes he obviously likes girls, thinks like girls are into him, and it should be kind of interesting because him and Kaori likes her, and he seemingly likes her as well, and then Kosei obviously likes Kaori, so that dynamic should be very interesting as well. I don't know if that's gonna like break the friendship apart or really do anything with the friendship at this time. So on to volume 2. The volume begins with Kosei thinking about the hard practices with his mother and his peers talking about him. A young Kosei reveals that he's the only one on his mother's side. They make it to the 6th Toa music competition into present now. Um, Before the performance, Kosei is worried about being able to even give a decent performance. Kaori headbutts him and tells him to look at her. She tells him that he's always looking down. She tells him that Mozart is speaking to them from heaven and wants them to go on a journey. They make their performance, and some people recognize Kosei as the accompanist. Kosei starts off playing accurately but a little stiff. Kaori starts with a well-behaved performance. Kaori starts to change things up though, but Kosei is able to play right along with her. Kosei sees a vision of his mother in the audience, and he starts to fall apart in mid-performance. Kosei then stops playing, and the audience ridicules him. Kaori, though, keeps playing. She eventually stops playing, and the audience just grows more upset. Kaori then plays again, even though they're already disqualified because they stopped. She still decides to complete the performance. Kosei then gets the courage to play again, but starts off out of sync. He can't hear the sound, but decides that he'll imagine it. He'll make the sound with his whole body. One of the judges comments that it's like they're duking it out, and the whole audience is getting swept up in it. At the end of the performance, they get a standing ovation. We then see Kosei, Watari, and Tsubaki seeing Kaori at Tatsuhara University Hospital. So she's in the hospital. Kaori says that she's there for some tests. She apparently fainted. Kaori asks Kosei if he's playing the piano. He says no and tells her that the piano is all he has. Um, Back at school, after baseball practice, Tsubaki walks home with a friend named Kashiwagi. They pass by Doryo Bridge, where kids are jumping into the water. It's revealed that Tsubaki would push Kosei off that bridge when they were younger. Kashiwagi tells Tsubaki that she hasn't been herself lately. They then run into the former captain of their baseball team, Saito Senpai. Tsubaki and Saito walk home together. Saito asks her if she wants to go out with him. Kosei remembers his performance with Kaori. After the performance, she said that she'll remember this until she dies. She collapses backstage and ends up in a hospital bed, saying that she's passed out again. That's kind of in the past too, by the way. Shown another flashback of Kosei and Tsubaki with Watari jumping off Doryo Bridge. In the present, they're playing volleyball for PE. Kosei gets spiked in the face. Watari suggests that they see Kaori in the hospital, but Kosei refuses. Saito then calls Tsubaki, saying that he really meant it as far as wanting to go out, and she hasn't given him an answer yet. Tsubaki questions why her heart isn't sparkling, with her senpai wanting to go out with her. Kosei walks home and sees Kaori on Doryo Bridge. She asks for her getting out of the hospital gift, but Kosei doesn't have one. She starts crying, and Kosei says that he'll do something for her if she stops crying. They were apparently crocodile tears, and she tells Kosei to enter a piano competition. Kosei says that he can't, and Kaori tells him that he's looking down again. She tells him that something drives us to perform. Kaori jumps off the bridge onto the water, and at the end of the volume, Kosei jumps off the bridge as well into the water. So some thoughts on volume 2. We got to know a little more about Kosei's mom. Wow, is she a mother? Um, Beating lessons into him. Making them practice non-stop. Uh, she definitely isn't a pleasant character. Her motivations are not totally clear yet. I mean, you just get an idea that she's kind of living her life through Kosei at this point, though. But she just the image of her and Kosei not being able to really forget his mother really seems to affect him in life and especially in the performance as well. Uh, you know, and we get to know a little more about Kosei as well through this volume. Just how tough it was for him growing up, kids ridiculing him and whatnot for pretty much being awesome at the piano. Um, they got to bring him down though, and uh, it obviously has affected him to today, the present day, because I mean he does not. He's like refusing to play the piano at this point. Thankfully, Kiori's there to kind of help him get over it. The competition was pretty interesting. Um, got a standing ovation, even though they messed up. Goes to show how those two are just really good at what they do at their instruments, to the point that they can get a reaction from the audience. They aren't just your typical, you know, musicians. They got something extra that makes people compelled to listen to them. It's interesting that Kosei is being, I guess, pressured into entering a piano competition. I suppose this is where it's gonna go. I mean, we can't just see this kid or this teen, um, just going through life. I mean, there's got to have some sort. I mean, it's obviously a manga that has music, so I mean, we can assume that he's gonna play the piano. Obviously, how he's gonna play, we don't really know yet, because the fact of the matter is he couldn't hear the music. I mean, mid performance, he kind of stopped, and when he continued, he just kind of imagined it. So it's is this gonna keep happening? What is this? How is the mother going to affect his future performances as well? So, I mean, he has a lot to climb back from. There's a lot of obstacles in his path just to play, just to compete. Uh, and I guess we're going to go through that proverbial journey with him, it looks like. Kaori's health. So we're learning a lot more about Kaori, she's obviously not in good health. She fainted. She's done this before. She's passed out before. Looks like they do tests on her, so there's something wrong with her. Don't know what it is. We don't know how it's going to affect her playing or whatnot. But it's definitely something to look out for moving forward. We also saw that Tsubaki and her senpai, or at least her senpai is trying to get together with Tsubaki. All this really indicates is that Tsubaki, honestly, it looks like they're going more towards a way of Tsubaki trying to get together with Kosei, or at least her having feelings towards him, because, you just don't get the impression, really, and some of the stuff she's saying, that she is really that into Saito senpai. And yeah, Watari was in this volume as well. It's kind of just more of the same with him. Really isn't much to say. We know he's really good athletically. He's pretty popular and whatnot. But yeah, it's a little bit more of the same with Watari at this point. Let's go on to Volume 3. The volume begins with Kaori at Kosei's place, with both of them being wet. Kaori goes to the room with the piano, and she removes all the trash and wipes the dust on top of it. Kaori decides to clean, and they see Tsubaki across the way, so she's in like the next house over. Tsubaki, though, is not happy, presumably from seeing Kaori in like Kosei's room, In the school music room, Arima and Kaori listen to a recording that Kosei just played. It's revealed that the assigned pieces that he chose are Bach's The Even-Tempered, I won't be able to pronounce this, Clavier, number 14, in G major, and Chopin's Etude Op. 24, number 5. Kaori already sent in his application to the Maiho music competition. Kaori tells Kosei's friends that Kosei has won first place in the competition's elementary school division. She quotes Anton Rubinstein, telling Kosei that before your fingers touch the keys, you must begin the piece mentally. Kosei starts to practice constantly, both in school and at home. Kaori keeps asking what he's visualizing, but she keeps telling him when he gives her the answer, she tells him that like it lacks imagination. Tsubaki and Kaori walk home together, and Tsubaki tells her that he's been playing non-stop for days and even forgets to eat. She wants him to play the piano, but doesn't want it to be painful for him. Saito then calls Tsubaki, and she agrees to go out with him. In the school's music room at night, Kosei is still practicing and asking himself questions. Kaori stops by and gives Kosei some milk. She says that he's sad, hurting, and she pretended not to notice and apologizes. Kosei, though, thanks Kaori for shaking the dust off of him. We're then shown another pianist, Takeshi Aiza, who appears to have a rivalry with Kosei. We're then shown a female pianist, same age, Emi Igawa, who says that this time she'll mash Kosei into a bloody pulp. A flashback is shown of Tsubaki and Kosei as kids. Tsubaki is carrying Kosei on her back to their homes as Kosei has an injured leg. Back in the present, it is the athletic club's district tournament. Tsubaki plays baseball and Watari plays soccer. Kosei keeps practicing his piece, and Kaori finds him. She tells him that they're going to watch their friends' games. In a flashback date with Saito and Tsubaki, Tsubaki keeps talking about Kosei. Tsubaki, now playing baseball in the present, hits the ball but runs for home and fails, so she gets out. Her team then loses the game. Tsubaki walks home with Kashiwagi, and they run into Kosei, who is waiting for Tsubaki. Kashiwagi then leaves. Kosei tends to Tsubaki's injured foot, which no one else noticed except for him, and carries her on his back on the way home. Tsubaki starts crying on his back, seemingly about losing, and looks at the stars. She wishes that time would stop right now. Sitting on a swing with darkness around him, Kosei talks to a black cat. The black cat asks, "Who are you? Where are you? And are you ready to start your journey?" Then, back in the present and the real world, Watari plays in the soccer tournament, but his team loses. He then cries in the bathroom. They were the last tournaments of middle school. Kosei learns to play his pieces from memory, but still has questions. So while running in PE, Kosei collapses. Kaori visits him in the nurse's office, but he's fine and eating a sandwich. As they walk home, it's revealed that Kosei passed out because he hasn't eaten anything. They see a black cat, and Kosei starts coughing violently. They go to a park, and Kosei reveals that, as a kid, he used to have a black cat named Chelsea. One day, Chelsea scratched Kosei's hand, and the next day, his mother got rid of her. He remembers others talking badly about him, and reveals that since the day that his mother got rid of Chelsea, he's always been in his mother's shadow. Kaori tells Kosei that you're just you. They touch hands, and Kaori quotes Charlie Brown saying, "When you're depressed, it always helps to lean your head on your arm. Arms like to feel useful." She says that his hand is just itching to play the piano. We're back with Kosei talking to the black cat. The black cat asks if he's okay. Kosei responds by saying that he thinks he's going to try to believe in the power of music. The black cat says that's not an answer, but tells him that he looks like he's ready. They go to the competition. Or back in the real world, in the present, they go to the competition. Kaori tells Kosei that he's entry number 265, and that Coachella number 265 is Mozart's variation on Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. In the backstage dressing rooms, he runs into Aiza and Emi. We're shown that when they were younger, Aiza and Emi were better than everyone else except for Kosei. Aiza asks Kosei, "It's been a long time, hasn't it, Arima?" Watari, apparently though, back with like his friends who are in the audience, Watari listened in on some conversations about Kosei in the bathroom, and he asked Kaori if everybody hates him. Kaori explains that Kosei plays the score perfectly, and in competitions, that's the only thing they judge for. He also took all the competitions by storm. He had nicknames like the Human Metronome, his mother's Marionette, and Slave to the Score. Aiza gets angry that Kosei forgot all about them, but Emi explains that he never knew them. Aiza says that he first met Kosei in 3rd grade. He kept telling himself next time. When he thought he had him, he was far away again. The head judge of this competition is Junzo Ibata. Everyone backstage is scared and anxious. Takeshi Aiza, last year's champion, starts his performance. In a flashback, Aiza apparently got an invitation to compete in Germany, but rejects the offer so that he can compete in the Maiho, or is it Maho? Well, it says Mai with an I. Maiho music competition. Emi and Kosei listen to Aiza's performance in the back. In a flashback, Aiza says that his goal is Kosei Arima, a competition that he's playing in. At the end of the volume, Aiza continues his performance as he internally calls out Kosei. Or calls out for Kosei. So, volume 3, some thoughts here. Well, we got Kosei back in the piano competitions. You know, everyone's scared in the back. There are some rivalries going on. Apparently, Kosei was like number one, but he was also like, he was also one of number one most hated guy there too. So it went both ways, really. You know, he got the glory, but he sure didn't make any friends. Um, we'll see how he performs. It looks like his competitors got really good. Kosei's been out of competition for what, 2 years? He's still the man, though, you know, but obviously he can't hear the music. So, and then his mother's image keeps like appearing to him, you know. So we'll see how that goes. Takeshi Aiza, very interesting rival to Kosei. He's pretty. He's a very intense dude. I mean, that's the biggest thing you can take away. I mean, the guy just like he thinks about Kosei and he just gets angry, you know, and just fired up whenever he just thinks about this guy. There's something about like Kosei that is just they're not friends and they're not really enemies, but they're kind of like rivals. But it's kind of weird because Kosei, I don't think actually saw them as rivals, but Aiza saw him as a rival. So that's really interesting. It's very a bit curious to see how this is gonna, you know, this weird relationship, I guess, uh, is gonna turn out. Then we got Emi Gawa, who kind of plays it all cool, aloof, and whatnot, but internally, she's also like super, you know, like you can tell she's also kind of angry as well. Um, she's just got a much different demeanor than Aiza, but you can tell. I mean, like she said, I'm gonna beat Mashi to a bloody pulp. That she's also got like that fire, you know, to want to beat this guy for whatever reason. Um, Kosei, it's really interesting. Now we kind of know Kosei, the competitor, a bit more. You know, he's the human metronome. You know, mother's marionette, slave to the score. You know, he practiced all the time. He played the pieces perfectly. It sounds like he's very emotionless, which is very different from Kaori, who's he plays full of emotion, who acts full of emotion. So, um, you know, I'm a bit curious to see if we're gonna see. We saw hints of the human metronome when he played with Kaori. You know, he memorizes the score. He plays consistently and whatnot. So, you know, I gotta wonder if the human metronome is going to make a comeback. Kosei had a black cat. Um, this black cat's pretty creepy. That's all I can really say. He just kind of talks to him. He's kind of his, I don't know, no, I don't know what you would really call it, but like he's definitely the one that's asking him the tough questions and whatnot. Um, it's very meta, I guess. I don't really know how else to say it, but yeah, you'll see Kosei just speaking to a black cat. Kosei, like this really just goes to show his seemingly unhealthy relationship with his mother. Um, what can he say? It's obviously the way Kosei turned out. I mean, he's a scarred guy. You know, like yeah, he got the glory, but at what cost? You know? So, you get to also know a little bit more about Tsubaki and Kosei. These are really close, you know? Been childhood friends. They've helped each other out. Tsubaki's kind of played something of like the big sister. And you're seeing something of a role reversal now. On top of the fact that Tsubaki clearly likes Kosei. And now Kaori's kind of in the way of that. So it's like, where does she fit in into all this, you know? And then you see a little more with Kaori and Kosei. Kaori really is just that, just a catalyst, you know, for him to kind of move forward. He keeps looking down. She keeps pointing out that he keeps looking down. She's the one that's going to make him look up. She's the one that, even though he can't hear the music, she helps him imagine it. She's the one that's going to help him go back to the piano, do the competitions, do what's difficult, and that's the greatness about the Kaori Kosei relationship. You know, they it's symbiotic in a sense, even a bit antagonistic in a sense. You know, because it's like she wants him to do these things, even though he's suffering. You know, but at the end of the day, it's good for him to do these things. So, that's all for today. If you like this, don't forget to subscribe, share, and comment to this channel if you're on YouTube or SoundCloud. If you're listening to this on iTunes or Stitcher, please rate, review, and share this channel. Thank you for listening to this manga review. Next time, I will have a manga review for Your Lie in April, Volumes 4 and 5, a reading of my short story, The Underachievers, pages 1 and 2, and in a few weeks, a movie review for Spider-Man Homecoming. Thank you, and until next time.